team. As Kyle said, this is the 118th time these two schools have played. You know, obviously it's a big game. It's one of the great rivalries in college football. You know, we were talking a little bit earlier about what makes this unique is I think that there is a mutual respect between the two institutions. You know, I've been lucky to coach in some good rivalry games in the past, and what I think makes this different again is just there is a respect and an ability to put things in perspective between these two schools, and so it's a fun rivalry to be a part of. There's a lot of great events leading up to the game that you know just add to the rivalry. So it's a fun week for me, a fun week for our players. You know, I think our guys are excited about playing. Again, we know Stanford's got a really good football team, and we know it'll be a big challenge for us, but we're looking forward to it.
Okay, reminder, if you could ask for the microphone before asking questions, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Sonny, 2 years ago, obviously you guys weren't ready to play a team that good, and they dominated the line of scrimmage. Last year, you ran the ball well against them, and you lost the game primarily because you turned the ball over 5 times. Do you think you've closed the gap at the line of scrimmage against a team like this?
Well, we'll certainly find out Saturday. We hope to have done that, and I think it. You know, last year when you look at the game, you know, we had some unfortunate things happen to us, you know, that kind of got the game out of hand pretty quickly. You know, turnovers and other things. And so, you know, it was we felt like we matched up better, you know, and we'll know more Saturday. I mean, again, Stanford's strength's always going to be their offensive, defensive lines and their fronts, and they're going to test you as well as anybody tests you in college football. You know, they have a very distinct and clear identity, and they do a great job of playing to it. So, you know, we'll get tested, and we'll know a lot more on Saturday. But I do think we're much further along, obviously, than we were in year one. You know, we're just physically a better football team. We're stronger and have more depth and all the things that, you know, good football programs have. We're not where we want to be yet, you know, on either side of the ball, but we're certainly getting better.
Seems like every week we're asking about an opposing quality running back.
Yeah.
Now, Christian McCaffrey is a little different, I guess, than the other. Could you describe him?
Yeah, you know, he's I mean, I think when you sit and look at him, I mean, he's one of the most complete players in college football. You know, great punt returner, great kick returner. Unique guy because he is such a good receiver, you know, coming out of the backfield. You know, runs really disciplined, sharp, very precise routes, you know, and you know, I think he and Hogan have a great relationship and understanding of each other. So he's one of those guys, I mean, he can beat you a lot of different ways, you know. They'll split him out, some play him at receiver, throw him screens, obviously carry the ball in the backfield, you know, just get him the ball a lot of different ways. And he, you know, he's one of those guys that, you know, I think he's got great football instincts when you look at him. I mean, he's runs to the right place all the time. He's, you know, just one of those guys that naturally seems to pick things up quickly. You know, and obviously he runs physical, finishes runs well, gets his pads down well. He's strong, and you know, and also he's one of those guys that can make you miss as well. So real good football player, and as I said, just kind of a unique talent.
What's your sense of your run game at this point? You obviously had a real good game Saturday, and do you have the confidence that your two sophomores can carry a lot of the load if you need to play Vic and
Yeah, I think
Trey?
it's improving. I think, you know, honestly, that's kind of when we run the ball, we're a pretty good football team and a pretty good offense, especially. And when we don't, we're not as good. And that's, that's the way it always is for us. It starts up front and our ability to run the ball and to be able to pass protect. And if we can do those two things, then typically it's going to be a good day for us. And if we can't, then it's a bit more of a struggle. So that's where it all begins and ends really for us.
Seems like Hogan's been running the ball a little bit more the last few weeks. How aware do you have to be of his ability to scramble?
Yeah, he's a big, strong, really effective runner. They do a nice job. They don't run him unless they have to, and I think that's when you look at the season. They had a long span there where they didn't need to run him, and then they got into some critical situations against Washington State, and they just kind of put the ball in his hands and let him win the ball game for him, running the football. And he's capable of doing that. He's a big, as I said, big, strong guy who is, can run people over and is probably more effective as a runner than people realize. Did the same thing against Oregon. When they need 2 or 3 yards in some critical situations, more than likely he's going to be carrying the ball. So we've got to just do a good job tackling him. He's a physical guy, and when he carries it, we gotta hit him and get him on the ground.
Jared has not had great success in this game, reflecting sort of how the games have gone. I think he obviously got hurt in the first one, and then he threw a couple picks last year. What do you expect from him, and what does he have to do? What's his role in you guys trying to win this game?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we said earlier, just how we can hold up front. And if we play well up front, that's going to take a lot of pressure off of him, both as a passer and then just within the offense, what he needs to do for us to win the game. And if we can run the ball, then that changes everything. And if we can pass protect, then it changes everything as well. And so, Stanford has had really good defensive football teams all 3 years. Probably the strength of their team the prior 2 years was their defensive front, probably as much as anything else. And this team probably doesn't have as much depth maybe as they've had in the past, but they're still really good up front, and it'll still be a big challenge for us. And if our offensive line plays well, then I think Jared will play well as well.
Sonny, there were more times it seemed that you guys ran tempo last week against Oregon State. Was that a function of the opponent, or was that a function of simplifying things, saying, okay, let's get back to brass tacks?
Really it was a function of making first downs. You know what I mean? That's the weird thing about us is, when we can run the ball and we can make some first downs, that's when we can play with tempo, and that allows you to do that. And tempo it's an interesting thing because it feeds off itself in some ways. When you can run the football, then you can get plays in more quickly, and you're ahead of the chains. You're not trying to call 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 9 plays, which allows you to go faster. You can keep the same personnel in the game, which allows you to go faster. And so the more plays you stack up, the better your tempo is, and then the better your tempo is, then the more plays you stack up. So it's one of those weird things that when you can run the ball, it gives you a lot better opportunity to play with tempo.
I know you don't want to talk about 17 on the other side, but right. Is he going to line up over Cochran?
They've played him both places. Played him inside and outside. He's played a lot of tackle for him, so I'm sure they'll move him around. He's been effective both places. I mean, he's done a nice job, playing defensive tackle and also, playing some end as well.
Okay, any further questions, guys?
Do you have any realistic hope that Lasko will play in the game?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Who would you imagine you'll start at this point, or do you have no idea yet?
I would say Vic right now. I mean, Vic and Trey will be get the lion's share of the reps leading up to the game. I think there's a great chance Calfani and Lasko both play as well. I mean, it's just going to depend on how they progress through the week.
And what's Calfani's deal?
I don't even know. They asked me that earlier. I know he's just a little bit banged up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any update on Kenny Lawler?
Yeah, Kenny's got the same thing he had last week. I think he's a little ahead of schedule I think he's a little better right now than he was a week ago. I would anticipate him, starting and playing significant amount of time in the game.
But as far as Lasco, he will take it easy for a day or two.
Yeah. I don't. He's going to do some conditioning and stuff on the side today.
Is it his ankle or his foot?
Yeah, it's his ankle.
Okay.
Just when you think about your seniors and everything you've been through with that group, what would it mean to them? What would it mean to you as a coach to have them go out?
Yeah, it mean a lot. I mean, I think that, again, we're trying to keep taking steps forward. And, you kind of mark this stuff off as you go along. And this is one of those steps, beating your rivals is always important, I think, to getting where you want to go as a program. I think winning on the road against a top 25 team is, a step as well. So just all of those things, are steps in growing your program and improving and getting it to where you want it to go. If you want to be a good team, you got to beat good teams. And, we've had opportunities to do that this year, and we've done it against some good teams as well. But certainly this would be, a step in the right direction.
You talked a little bit about their defense before, but they lead the conference in total defense. Just what sort of things do they do, and what makes them so effective?
Yeah, typical Stanford team. I mean, they're going to, they know how to play. They leverage the ball well. They tackle well. They're strong and physical. Do a nice job getting off blocks. They've, they do enough things schematically to keep you from getting too comfortable. A couple of unique things here and there where they've, with defensive end, outside linebacker type people, where they can, free them up to, to play sometimes over receivers and play screens, and then sometimes they rush and sometimes they play the run, and they show you a lot of different looks that, that are a little bit unique. And then the thing is too, they're competitive, and if you watch their defense, there are some games where, just like Oregon last week, I mean, I think they played 44 snaps of defense, and so those two things go hand in hand, where, if you're not defending 80 or 90 snaps, then you're going to be a better defense. You know what I mean? And so, again, their offense helps their defense, and their defense helps their offense, and they play a different style of football than some people do, and they do a nice job of doing that. When they take care of the football, they shorten the game. You don't get as many possessions or plays as you're accustomed to getting, and that puts a bigger onus on you to execute and not waste possessions. And they've got that formula figured out, and they do a nice job with it.
There have been some great quarterbacks on both sides in this rivalry over the years. How do you look at this matchup of these two guys and projecting a little bit on who they could become down the road?
Yeah, I think Kevin Hogan, to me, is one of the most consistent players in this league since I've been in the league. All you have to do is look at his record as a starting quarterback at Stanford, and he's got a remarkable record. And it goes back to what I just talked about. He plays to their formula. He does not turn the ball over. He executes. He's smart. And when they need for him to make a play, he can make a play throwing the ball, and he can also make a play running the ball. And when you're versatile like that as a quarterback, that puts a lot of pressure on a defense. When you can spread some people out and your quarterbacks can run the ball on 3rd and 2 and run somebody over and get you a critical first down, that changes everything about the game. And so, to me, when you look back and you say who's been in 3 years in the league, who's been, probably the best player, the most consistent player, you had Marcus Mariota who won a Heisman Trophy last year, but, I'm not so sure my vote wouldn't go with Kevin Hogan, just because, again, he's played at a very, very high level, and, he gives them a chance to win every Saturday, and that's about the best thing you can say for a quarterback. Or I guess in this league, Thursdays and Fridays too.
What did it mean for you to see McMorris get that touchdown Saturday? And is he a guy that could be kind of an X factor going forward? Or
yeah, he's definitely he's done a good job for us this year. I mean, he's a unique guy. He's a 300-pound true freshman walk-on fullback, and he may be the only guy that checks all those boxes in college football. And so he's unique. I mean, he's done a lot of different things for us. I mean, he really has. He's played some fullback. He's played on special teams. He's kind of been a guy that's really helped us win in probably some ways that people don't even realize. The players like him. He's got a great work ethic, and I think that's why they were so excited when he scored at the end of the game. That's one of those deals. We've been working on that play for since fall camp. We've run it countless times, and so it was nice to see him make the play and score a touchdown. Again, guys were excited about it.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you guys.